Hey guys, today's video is going to be a review of the Giant Mouse GM4. Giant Mouse is a company that highlights the collaborations of knife designer Jasper Voxnays and Jens Enso. This is the fourth iteration. They've had the GM1, 2, and 3, and these are limited runs, so I didn't get the first three, but I'll share my experience of this one with you today. Let's just go through the packaging. So this is the box the knife comes in. It also comes in this little canvas pouch. Alright, so let's do some size comparisons. I don't have that many small knives, but here it is with the Spyderco Chaparral, the CRKT Squid, let's go with Spyderco Delica 4 and the Kaiser Gemini. So now we'll dive into the things I like and dislike about this knife. Alright, so let's start up front, or the business end. What I like most is the blade shape. For a smaller knife, the blade stock is pretty thick. But with the high hollow ground, it does come down to a very fine edge. What I don't like is that it's a fingerprint magnet. The blade steel is a plus also, being M390. Now the only negative about that is that steel designation is nowhere on the blade. I do like a sterile blade, but say I was selling a knife or something. The only way somebody would know it was M390 is if they actually went to the website or took my word for it. But yeah, I just would like the steel designation somewhere, even like here on the flipper tab or something. Also, the jimping is a bonus also. Because the overall knife is small, most of my control when performing basic cutting tasks be at the top of the blade right here. Typically with my thumb, and I do get a nice purchase on that jimping. So one of the other things that I don't particularly care for, and this is probably just a fit and finish, your mileage may vary, but the grind is uneven. Try to show you the grind. It's a steeper angle on this side than it is this side. So that's pretty much it. Up front, I'll probably give this a B+. It's a small blade, which makes it legal for a lot of people to carry, being under 3 inches. Fantastic blade steel, fantastic design, nice belly, nice flat grind, which makes it a pretty good slicer. Jimping is good. That's pretty much it. So let's move on. So let's talk about the action. It took some breaking in. Maybe about, I don't know, when I first got it, I flipped it about 100 or so times before it really started to break in. I'm gonna try to find the photo I took. After the first 100 or so flips, it was like some black gunk from the blade. I'm guessing it was in the detent hole. But after that, cleaned that off, and it actually flips pretty decent. Because it's a smaller knife, it's actually hard to call it a fall shutty. You basically have to close it like such, but not a big deal. It flips really well. The jimping on this is fantastic too. Let me see. If you can see there, the jimping is deeper as you go down towards the end. And I rarely slip off of this when I'm trying to deploy it. I can either get my fingertip in there, my fingernail, and flip it. So jimping is great on the flipper tab. The detent is dialed in nicely too. So overall action, I'll give it an A. It's not as fall shutty or closed on its own weight. I just think it's because of the size of the knife, not, you know, anything as far as the mechanics of it. So getting to the back end, I think this knife really shines here. The stonewashed titanium handles are contoured. It gives you the feel of like a palm swell on a fixed blade. So even though it's a small blade, it does feel really secure in the hand. Also like the anodized accents here at the pivot collar, on the backspacer, and the pocket clip. Speaking of the pocket clip, that's one of the things that really stands out here. And it's just the overall design, and not design as by the look of it, but the intention. Obviously it's intended to secure the knife to your pocket, but the way it's angled here, let's see, it actually has zero contact with the lock bar portion of this handle. And what that does for me is I could put pressure on this pocket clip without ever interfering with the action, because I'm putting lock bar pressure on it. And naturally, this is how I deploy the knife. I mean, my middle finger is actually resting on the pocket clip. So I'm putting pressure on the pocket clip, and it never comes in contact with the lock bar, which is great. The last thing about the back end is, let me see here, right down there, the 207. So each knife is numbered, and the numbering is on the inside of the backspacer. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but these knives are only made in limited runs of about 300. I think they make another variation of it in a run of 100. So in total, the GM1, 2, 3, or 4, it would only be 400 of those produced before they move on to the next model. Now, the major knock on this knife is all about maintenance to me. The pivot is a free spinning pivot, and the amount of Loctite, or the type of Loctite used, makes this almost impossible to take apart. I don't care for that at all. This may not matter to those of you that don't like taking your knives apart, but it really sucks for me. So I'll take some points off for that, but overall, this knife is definitely a stud. So at the end of the day, this knife gets high marks in my books. Solid B up front at the business end, solid B plus for action, and the back end, or the handle, is a solid A. The real thing that annoys me, I mean, the uneven grind doesn't really bother me as much, because I will sharpen it and I don't mind. That might suck for some people that don't have the capability or the equipment to sharpen, but it doesn't bother me. I actually enjoy sharpening my knives. But the thing that really bugged me was the fact that I can't take it apart. Okay, so in closing, here's where I'm at with it. This is an absolute stud. The three things that I pointed out: the blade steel designation on the blade, that is not a big deal. It was just something worth mentioning. The uneven grind, that could be an issue for you. It's not really an issue for me. Like I said, I don't mind sharpening, but it is something to point out. And the fact that you can't take it apart probably wouldn't matter to most people anyway. That's a minor offense, but it was a big deal to me. That kind of sucks, but I would absolutely recommend this knife. The blade shape is amazing. The blade steel is amazing. The fit and finish and the design of the handle is fantastic. The most important thing is, so many people can carry this. I mean, under 3 inches is almost legal everywhere. So that's a plus. You really don't get high quality knives in this size. The only other thing that may suck is it's only 400 of these ever going to be made. But that's really it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, it will not be a disassembly on this video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.